For those of you who don't know, I am Dave, 10-year intellectual property attorney dealing with everything from patents, trademarks, copyrights, as well as trade secrets. And I've been following this story for a while here. This is essentially the church that the Proud Boys vandalized. They got the judgment against them. We're going to hear about what the Reverend is talking about as relates to kind of standing up against the Proud Boys and kind of talking about the trademarks and what they plan on doing with the trademarks. We're also going to look kind of take a look back at what the Proud Boys leader, who was just released, I think, from jail a couple months ago on a pardon from the Donald J. Trump, and kind of what he's talking about, whether or not he still part of the Proud Boys, is he still the leader, what's kind of going on with the Proud Boys. We're going to take a look at kind of that clip that he did. But let's first hear what the Reverend had to say about kind of the Proud Boys and what they did, and kind of being able to kind of essentially get ownership of the trademarks. Some housekeeping items: please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, as well as hit the subscribe button to be a part of the IP community, where we talk everything intellectual property, hence the name. And this is one of the things that we talked about, current events that's dealing with intellectual property. And this is a good lesson, man. If you kind of vandalize things and you have some assets, including intellectual property, it may be maybe at risk for getting seized. Let's go.
We will be unrelenting in pursuing justice. And it is not just for Metropolitan.
In 2023, Metropolitan AME Church in D.C. won a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the Proud Boys, a far-right group who vandalized their church property, including a Black Lives Matter sign, in 2020 during a pro-Trump rally.
The act of destroying these signs was not just alcohol-lubricated, infantile frat boy stuff. The larger part of it is this is political intimidation. This is a softer version of cross-burning, designed to keep us quiet. What they didn't realize is that we come from a tradition of people who have never accepted that. We have never accepted this violence. We came here fighting. We've stayed here fighting. We'll continue to fight.
When the Proud Boys didn't pay, the church sued again, this time for property, their trademark. And in 2025, a judge again ruled in their favor. But the ruling from Metropolitan...
So this is, let's read this lawsuit as set forth in the motion. Metropolitan AME respectfully requests that the court enter a default judgment against essentially the Proud Boys, transferring all Proud Boys interests in the trademark Proud Boys, formerly registered with the USPTO, to Metropolitan AME. It seems like the court, which I talked about on prior videos, so go check those out, granted this motion and essentially gave the trademark that was previously owned by the Proud Boys, gave it to the AME Church. And this is another thing I do want to bring up to you guys. And again, again, at the Proud Boys, it seemed like they vandalized the church. It seemed like they were, found guilty of that. And, a lot of them went to jail and things like that. So they have to be held accountable for their actions. And I'm for that. But again, you have to go talk to your trust in the state's attorney as well. But this is why I'm all for, as a bigger picture, for putting IP in a trust. Just because, again, if you own, your LLC owns your IP, whether it's a trademark, copyright, patents, or you personally own these things, you get a judgment filed against you, they can essentially take your stuff and give it to the other side. But if it's in a trust, then it's harder to get in those scenarios. So again, this is not legal advice of any sort. Definitely go still talk to your trust in the state's attorney. But like I said, it's harder to attach to the IP and different things like that when it's in a trust. So again, that's why I'm always for putting IP in a trust for just for kind of lawsuits in general. Again, it seems like kind of justice was served in a sense that the Proud Boys were found guilty and they have to be held accountable. But I think it's we are going to go through lawsuits again. This seems like this was a different type of kind of trouble, but business is business, and you can get into lawsuits, and to the extent that you are found liable for something from a civil standpoint, then they can get your assets. And intellectual property is an asset, but I think to the extent that you have the IP and a trust, it's kind of tougher to get. But again, for this case, I will say justice was served because they kind of vandalized the church and the property and things like that. A multi-million-dollar judgment that was awarded against the Proud Boys in favor of the AME Church. So, I think justice was served here. But let's kind of finish up this article and see what they say about the trademark.
Metropolitan came at the same time that many of the Proud Boys and other January 6 rioters were pardoned by President Trump.
Initially, I was a little nervous about it. I just hope they don't touch the church. That was just my main concern. As overwhelming as this all has been, we have no choice. That's the legacy of our church. We are an AME church and we're around the corner from the White House. I think if we didn't address anything, didn't do anything, and didn't fight, it's a waste of real estate.
During the height of this decision, we were paying over $20,000 a month for security.
That's crazy.
And this was a part of the judge's judgment for us. The $2.8 million, part of it is to recoup
multi-million-dollar
real
judgment.
financial damage that was done to the church.
But in the just 3 months since the ruling, Proud Boys leaders have made remarks online about the church and in particular their pastor, even boldly posting on X that they will change their name to the African Methodist Episcopal Boys.
That's crazy.
Legal representation for the group's former chairman, Enrique Tarrio, did not respond to a request for comment.
There are those in the Proud Boys world who are still using their trademark as if we have not won it. And I want everyone to know that it is our property legally, and we will protect our property.
The congregation has begun.
And that's crazy to think, like, this is the church's website. So you're talking about them not only being awarded the Proud Boys logo, but now they're selling merch as again, it's within their rights since they are the rightful owners of the actual Proud Boys trademark. They're actually selling merch, as you see here on the screen. Proud Boys shirts. You see the PB there, Proud Boys Stay Black. So it seems like they've kind of even put a twist on it. Stay proud, stay proud, stay black, and seeing the PB is for Proud Boys, I would imagine. But again, that's the power that the judge awarded the church, and now they're monetizing off of it. And again, the pastor is right, I would say, to the extent that the church owns the trademark for the Proud Boys, and the former group Proud Boys or the current group Proud Boys, however you want to characterize it, is using that trademark without authorization from the church, then they will be liable for trademark infringement and can find themselves in a deeper hole. So I get it, man. We all want to kind of stand on our square and maybe not be as giving, but again, the Proud Boys can, Proud Boys, the former group is formerly known as the Proud Boys, can find themselves in a deeper hole, not only after getting their trademark essentially taken from them and awarded to the church for 2.8 for not paying. That's the whole reason why the church, the judge awarded the trademark to the church, because they had this $2.8 million judgment against them that they weren't paying on. But they can find themselves in a deeper hole if they're using this stuff, which is trademark infringement, because they don't own the trademark anymore. They're using this stuff without the church's permission. The Proud Boy marks, I would imagine, the church can send them back to court, and the judge can reprimand them even more. So again, this is another rule to you guys. Don't dig yourself in a deeper hole trying to just essentially be hard-headed. So let's finish up this article and then get up out of here.
Begun to sell lookalike shirts on its website with lines like "Stay Proud, Stay Black," and will do the same for Pride Month and Juneteenth.
That's crazy.
It is our way of leveraging something that was intended for evil and political violence to celebrate the very human beings and the liberation of those human beings that the Proud Boys were designed to intimidate.
There you go, man. There you go. So learning lesson, don't be hard-headed. You can definitely find yourself without your trademark, and seems like in further trouble if you continue to use a mark that you no longer own. And again, to the extent that you do have this IP, trademarks, copyrights, patents, maybe you want to look at putting this stuff in a trust, because it's harder to attach from lawsuits and things like that when you get judgments against you and your company. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, as well as hit the subscribe button to be a part of the IP community. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.